Performance on Sunday night made it very clear that a coaching change was needed.
I just flipped the script. I just flipped the switch.
To the uprights, and it is no good.
Oh, my Lord.
Oh, no.
To me, it felt that it had run its course.
Well, I think we all share in the responsibility. That's the toughest part.
And, you feel like you let them down.
This decision, it's not about, one player. I mean, this is what's best for the Packer team, Packer organization. Aaron was no part at all of the decision to move on from Mike.
I'm not excited about a rebuild, but I don't think that's the direction we're going. I think we have a lot of pieces in place.
We want to find the very best coach and a coach that will bring the Packers back to winning Super Bowls.
I just flipped the script. I just flipped the switch.
And so it is. The post-Mike McCarthy era begins in Green Bay. As we say hello from the film room, brought to you by Verizon. The Packers made the decision Sunday night to move on. We're lucky enough to have Coach John Fox with us today, and we're going to talk about what's next for whomever takes over this job. It's a historic franchise. They expect to win. They expect to be in contention every year. I'd like to know your 3 points of emphasis when it comes to hiring a new head coach, what that person should focus on, Coach, to get this right.
Well, I think within the organization, I think it has to start building a culture of accountability. And I'm talking about everybody in that building has their name on this season. I know Mike McCarthy is the one that got fired. And look, all head coaches understand it. It happened to me, not even 10 months ago. But everybody understands that. But it's got to be from the acquisition of players to what kind of guys you draft and the people you put in that room, and then everybody being accountable. Players, front office, management, everybody on what they do moving forward, even the selection of the coach.
And that's great lip service. A lot of teams say that, but it's hard. It's got to be done. It's got to walk the walk, talk the talk, which you didn't get necessarily the sense that everybody was on the same page this week.
No, I think, whether it's players or everybody in the building, like I said, it wasn't one guy is the reason they didn't have success this year. Everybody's got to understand. You got to look in the mirror and you got to be able to make that evaluation. Either am I part of the problem or am I part of the solution? And that's what they need moving forward. Mm-hmm. I'd say number two, on that defense is really they got to get team speed. Every defense that I've gone to, whether it was in Carolina, we got speed on defense. Went to Denver, the same thing. You got speed on defense. I think they've done this on the back end a little bit with some of the young secondary people, albeit they've got a lot of injuries. But I think that front seven needs to be looked at too. And you need to have speed on defense to contend with the rules of today and the style of offenses of today. To me, they need that in a big way, and that's got to be something this offseason, whether it's in free agency or in the draft. And last but not least, I think you've got to make Aaron Rodgers more productive.
This is a big one.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, whether it's creativity, that could be personnel groups, that could be formations. Number one, I'd say he's got to run the ball more. You cannot drop back pass every doggone play in the National Football League. It's just not doable. The biggest mismatch in football is the O-line trying to block the D-line. And you have to change that up, whether it's play action. You can't do that without developing a run game. So motions and breaking tendencies, that's something that Aaron Rodgers is very talented, but he needs to be more productive for the Green Bay Packers to win.
He is, without question, the most important person or the most important player on that roster. We know that. He signed the biggest deal in NFL history. The team says he didn't have anything to do, at least verbally, with the decision to part ways with Mike McCarthy. But what should his next role be? They say he's not responsible for finding the coach, which we know he's not, but he will have to work closely and be on the same page, whomever that is.
Leader by being, one of those guys, as you said, Coach, that's going to have the accountability to the coaching staff from what you're asked to do. The best thing Aaron can do is not butt heads with whoever the next offense coordinator is or whoever the next head coach is, but really to be a great example of somebody that is doing what you are being asked to do by the coach. Coaches coach, players play. I think we are making way too much out of the input or influence that Aaron Rodgers should have on who the next head football coach is. Even though quarterbacks look at things from a much, wider angle than most other players, they don't look at it with the same scope of vision that a head coach has to look at things through. And I think he needs to be a quarterback. Well, make no mistake about it. Tom Brady reports to Bill Belichick. Drew Brees and Sean Payton have a great relationship. Who's in charge? Sean Payton's in charge, and everybody knows it. And so I think that's what needs to happen. I think that goes right into Coach's point about a culture of accountability. That's what it is. Aaron Rodgers' role isn't any bigger than just playing quarterback.
And look, you're not going to get along and agree on every decision, but when you walk out of that room, forget about the game. I mean, I'm just talking about the practice field to go prepared to get ready for that game so you can execute during the game. All oars have to be in the water, row in the same direction. And the minute you get a guy not carrying his weight or that oar is slipping a little bit, it throws that boat out of alignment. And you have to have that. You look, Tim, you brought up the success in the change in the offseason. You have to have that. This game's too hard, and it's too hard to play and execute.
I will say it doesn't seem like a coincidence that the most successful franchises have a clear pecking order or a clear line of authority. I don't think it's
and look, I think it's incumbent on the quarterback to get along with that guy.
Right. And also, I think that like people are saying, like, yeah, they got to find a head coach that Aaron approves of and can make this offense better. Like, no kidding, right? Like, everybody who's watched the Packers this season would understand that, like, of course, in an ideal world, your offense gets better and the coach gets along great with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just telling you, the interview process for a head coach, and certainly John can speak to this in great depth, is about a whole lot more than just, like, what's the offensive system. It goes down to things that people might not even think about. What's the strength program going to look like? When are you going to travel when you're going to road games more than one time zone away? What's the offseason schedule going to look like? How large of a coaching staff do you want to have? How much are you going to pay your assistants? There's a lot of dynamics that are going to be involved. So, yes, of course, you want to find someone that's a perfect fit for Aaron Rodgers. But I'll just say this. People are saying, you got to find this wizardry, this offensive whiz right now. When Mike McCarthy, who now has a street named after him in Green Bay, by the way, was hired as the Green Bay Packers head coach, it was coming on the heels of an incredibly forgettable year in San Francisco, 1 year as their offensive coordinator. It's got to be the right fit when the games are played on Sunday, but there's a lot more that goes into it. So I think that we want to make this about Aaron Rodgers and what he wants, but I think the Packers they're going to be mindful of it. They're going to understand that they want it. They don't want to bring someone that have an abrasive relationship from the get-go, but there's a lot that goes into hiring a head coach.
Well, I think they'd be remiss to only look at that one thing, although it's important. To your point, there's a bigger scope here, a bigger spectrum.
Sure.
I mean, if you just look around the league, we made mention of it looking at the wild card is, hey, the formula of running the football, play action pass, and playing defense, it's a proven formula. And really what you need a leader, and you need a leader of men. And I'm talking about offense, defense, and special teams. I mean, you're trying to get people to do something that's a hard, blue-collar, everyday, hard job to do. I mean, it's not easy. It's not fun to go practice every day. Everybody sees the beauty of Sundays.
Right, yeah.
There's a lot of work that goes in, and you're getting guys to do something that's hazardous to their health. You don't think you're going to see a special force leader all of a sudden question whether he says march up that hill. All right, you better march up that hill, and that's how you get stuff done.
Well, the Packers are trending toward finishing below 500 for the second straight year. They haven't done that since 90 to 91. That was just NFL Live. It's an iconic anchor and an iconic speech. We'll relive Stuart Scott inspiring SB message.
When you die, that does not mean that you lose to cancer. You beat cancer by how you live, why you live, and in the manner in which you live.
Film Room is brought to you by